Welcome back to part two of County Matters. We're here in County Down at the Carnegie Library in Bangor at a photography exhibition with a twist. So many of us have smartphones and might consider ourselves wannabe photographers, but I've never quite seen any photos like these taken on a mobile phone before. Gerry Coe from Bangor has been a photographer for many years. He swapped his darkroom for his iPhone.
When I was approximately 13 years old, there was a competition on Blue Peter, and it was Valerie Singleton in those days. She was a very young girl, those days. I was even younger. But she said there was a photography competition, and I didn't have a pet competition. So what I ended up doing was borrowing our very ordinary Ilford Sportmatic camera and going and taking the neighbours' pets and took the photographs all far too close, all out of focus. So I think that's when the bug really started, and I never really stopped after that. Well, you had your big cameras, you had your Hasselblads or Lamias, big 2¼ square, 6x6 centimetres in modern terms. And what you did with those, then you had your film, and you took your pictures, and then you went home and you developed your films, and then started making proofs and then print these up in the darkroom. So it was very, very traditional in a lot of ways. Trying to just get that special effect that I felt that I got was in my black and white portraits, and that's where I would tend to work, and that's what I tended to do a lot. It worked for me for so many years. I never ever thought I'd move to digital. Some people still say to me, "Oh, Gerry, what was that you said? This black and white darkroom will ask me. I'll never go to this digital thing." And now it's ended up. I've embraced it totally, and I don't want to go back into a darkroom again. I've enough. The big leap really was looking at other people, what they were producing, and seeing quality. Now, I was always worried that I could not produce digitally what I could do in the darkroom. So I bought myself a camera and I started experimenting. So if I was doing a portrait sitting, I would take some on the digital camera as well. And by playing around and using different papers until I got the effect I want, then I realised this is doable. I don't need to stand in a darkroom all day long with the smelly chemicals and everything else. I'm not interested in that. I really can do this. I started experimenting. And I started looking. I had a Nokia at the time, and then an upgrade to an iPhone 4, and so I started doing that. And it really is, it's a big learning curve in some ways to use your iPhone. There are so many apps out there, so many ways to do different things. It is very handy. You don't need to worry about carrying a great big DSLR camera with you anymore. So whenever I'm working on this here, I have a range of apps here that I would use for taking photographs with. Hipstamatic is good, and you can take a range of things on this here. Once you've got the photograph, you have a whole range within the collection here, and your albums and everything else. And by scrolling down, you can come to some that you've taken. And so what we've got here is one like this here. Now, what I would tend to do with this picture is I can work with it on the iPhone. Whenever you move it to the iPad, you can see better the details, you know what you're taking. So there are a lot of things there that are much better to work with. You load it up from there, and if we go down, all these photographs are on the two cameras. So we'll take that and load this up. So what we've got now is this crane jib and the Harlan the Wolf cranes and things. So if I want to get rid of that, it's annoying me. So you can adjust the brush size, and then by very carefully, just as you can see there, blend across there like that. Then you hit the start button. Magic. What we can do now is we can manipulate this photograph onto one of the programs that I like very much, which is called Snapseed. And as we see here, we've already brought in that photograph. There, along the bottom of this here, there's a whole range of things that you can use to change the image, do things with it, straighten it, crop it, details, black and white, we can change it to. And so if you're going to change an image, hit tune in image here, and by going up and down, you've got a range of things here. So you've got brightness, so you can bring it much brighter or much darker. You've got contrast, which can really or lower that. You've got saturation, up and down. So there's a whole range of things that you can do with this picture. You can move on to black and white. So you can very quickly change this to strong black and white. So you've got contrast. You've got, actually you can put it back in green. So you're that's extreme there, but you know, bring it back a wee bit and you can break that image up. If you like the way the image is done, you can hit the apply button and that will do that. And if you don't like it, you can go back by hitting the cancel button. There's only certain apps that really apply to you. A lot of apps will do the same thing. But the iPhone to me has almost liberated my way of seeing things and doing things. So these are things I couldn't do on Photoshop. Maybe I wasn't good enough for that. I didn't have enough skills maybe. But on the iPhone I can do an awful lot more and much more enjoyable and lighter to carry. The skills are the same. It doesn't matter what camera you use. It's the eye of the beholder that matters. It's the person behind it. And doing a bad photograph and then manipulating it will not make it a good photograph. It just makes it a manipulated bad photograph. The instant gratification almost of manipulating your photograph and producing something that you think really works, it's fantastic. And it's fantastic for everybody, for me as well. You can produce works of art very quickly. You know, that's why you have to try and keep ahead of the game a wee bit. You know, because people, the cameras within the phones are getting so much better. You can do an awful lot more with them. I am quite surprised sometimes at the quality that you can get out. And then you can use different programs on your computer which will enlarge the image up so that it doesn't break up on you. There's so many things to do with it. You know, it's a fascinating thing, especially for young people as well.
Well, they're certainly much more impressive than any photos I've managed to take on my iPhone. Next up, we're off to Lisburn, where musicians and singers will be performing at the Island Arts Centre.